This theater is not just brick and mortar. There's some soul to it. There's people involved. And it takes people to do this. The building itself won't do it. So it requires people with an interest in the theater, hopefully bringing some maybe unique talent with them, and getting involved in the community.
I had just started a new sales job, and I didn't want to take a Speaking for Confidence course, so I took acting lessons instead at the Arts Club Theatre. And that's how I discovered it on Granville Island. And I enjoyed the experience so much that I knew people that were involved with the theatre, and they said, why don't you do some volunteer work? And I did, and then before I knew it, I was invited to be on the board.
Well, I guess initially, as a theater goer, just to enjoy the plays. And shortly after that, I was approached by a fellow chartered accountant who was on the board, but about to step down. He approached me about joining the board because he felt that they should have somebody with a financial background on the board, not just an artistic background.
My mother and her father would go to the movies in the 1930s at the Stanley, and my mother passed away before the Stanley had actually been reopened, but it did have a family feeling to me and carrying on the tradition.
We had no money, like zero money. We had to buy our own coffees. But we had a fundraising group, and we had some very keen people. We had a good cross-section of representatives from the community. But we were initially very unsuccessful in raising funds.
When Bill broached the idea of what the Stanley could be and taking it over and the opportunity, all of a sudden there was a massive change in the organization and what was going to be involved, and taking on a major project of multi-million dollars to make it all happen.
It was a real throwback to the 40s and 50s and 60s of what a theater was like. And it was dirty and dusty, and you couldn't see the gold in the ceiling, and you couldn't see the details of the cornices or anything like that. You couldn't see any of that until it was actually cleaned up.
The Stanley stood there, and it probably had been vacant for about 5 years. We were about maybe 2 weeks away from that becoming a department store. And I'll never forget the condition that it was in when we first took over, and the smells and the carpet. It was pretty scary. I thought, oh, what have we got ourselves into?
You're taking a theater that is 60 plus years of age, and what is behind these walls?
The paint was still wet on opening night, and what a huge success that was. That was Swing, featuring, I guess, somebody who's had a pretty good career, Michael Bublé.
The Stanley galvanized the organization and gave it tremendous stature within Canadian theater, within Vancouver, and took it up to another level. And South Granville at that point in time was actually getting quite run down. There was a number of vacant stores. There was areas where it was in a retail downturn. And what took place in the late 90s and early 2000, it changed dramatically the makeup of South Granville and revived it. I feel that part of the city's vibrance is its culture, and looking at live theater is so important. I'm sitting in the third row of a stage, and I can see somebody on a stage here and see their expression and look at everything about them is magical to me.
I am giving my money because I want to see this continue.
The Stanley was old when we bought it, and of course it's now older. So it requires constant updating. Things wear out. So if you want state-of-the-art production, you have to have state-of-the-art facilities. And that takes state-of-the-art money.